we might want to be careful with that expression, stay curious, because that could go down a whole different direction with that video. Being back in a locker room for my day job.
Full circle moment.
Just full circle, just full circle.
Hello everyone, my name is Sheridan Mears and welcome to Chutin the Bull, a series where we have real conversations and take it to the rodeo arena. Today I am joined by my friend Meg, also known as Meg West. How are you, Meg?
I'm good.
I'm really thrilled to have you. I think we're gonna have a good conversation, and for it being a first time doing a podcast and first time episode, I think it's gonna be really good.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me as your first guest.
Yeah, so I want to get into your background to start off. So tell us a little bit about where you came from.
So I grew up in Salinas, California, but I do not have a background in rodeo whatsoever. I actually came from, the funniest thing about it, I had friends grew up that were around horses and they barrel raced and they competed in rodeo, but I never did. And in fact, I actually was surrounded by a bunch of liberal people that told me rodeos are bad. And my godmother was like, cowboys are bad, stay away from cowboys. She might have had a point about that. But I grew up really having a negative perception of rodeo, despite the fact I grew up in Salinas. And it wasn't until I became an adult that I started asking questions. At one point, I actually was a vegan. Do not unfollow me. But I started asking questions and realized a lot of the stuff that I was hearing was not facts. And I started asking questions and started supporting ranchers and went to my first rodeo in 2019, and I fell in love with it. First time I ever felt like I fit in. My parents wanted the best for me, sent me to prep schools. They wanted me to like yachts and lawyers, and that just was never me. I never felt comfortable, and I went to my first rodeo and I was like, hell yeah, these are my people. So fell in love with it then, and that's kind of when I started getting into it and exploring my Western roots.
Yeah, no, I love that, because due to unpopular opinion, like in Texas, a lot of people don't like California. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted you to come on here.
I'm from where there's more cows than people, Northern California, not LA, Salinas.
Yeah, and so I think it's important to break that misconception, and I'm really glad that you had mentioned that you started asking questions, because a lot of people are quick to assume about our industry. And so when you got into rodeo, what made you want to move to Texas?
So I originally was not planning on moving to Texas. My sister's husband grew up in Texas. He's a diehard Texan. He went to TCU. My nephews went to TCU. One of them went to Oklahoma. But they're a big time Texas family, and my sister has been trying to get me to come down to Texas for years. I was very, very anti it. But then when my dad ended up selling the family house and moving to Texas, I knew he was having a lot of problems. And at that point, I was working with a different company as a part owner, and me and that person, we just had a different vision. And I had made the decision to move to Texas with that company, but it actually worked out with me starting my company. Texas was a really good place to be. So my dad having issues selling the house, I was like, screw it, I'm in the Western lifestyle. At that point, I was working at the rodeo media outlet. I was like, okay, Texas is a much better place to be than Las Vegas, where I was living, which is a whole nother story for a whole nother podcast. So I ended up moving to Texas, basically just telling my dad that. It was funny, it was over Christmas, because he was really having a hard time selling the family house. We'd had it since I was a baby, but when my mom passed away, he really wanted to be closer to family. And so at Christmas, I surprised him and I was like, hey, he was complaining about having to move to Texas, and I was like, well, you can go to Julie's house or my house. And I said a couple times, and finally I was just like, Dad, I'm moving to Texas. He's like, oh, when are you thinking of moving? And with the other company, we were planning on covering the American, and I was like, well, I was thinking, in March. And he's like, okay, so we're moving in March. And I was like, sweet, I guess I'm moving to Texas in 3 months. So like everything in my life, it's really been make the decision and figure it out very fast afterwards.
Yeah. So we had got connected through your Meg West account.
Correct.
Where you made rodeo memes.
Yes.
So how did that come to be?
So when I first started getting into the Western lifestyle community, I like fashion, but I am not your fashion girly. If you guys see me at a rodeo, there's a good chance that I'm probably gonna have beer or nachos spilled on me. Like I am not, I try to be that fashion girly, but I was never that, so it didn't really fit who I was. But I also realized when I started looking at the rodeo community as someone that was new to it, it seemed very closed off. People were arguing on TikToks about whether someone's punchy or not, or do they have their cowboy card, or are they cool enough to be a cowboy. And I was like, this is very off-putting for people outside this community. So I was like, why don't we show how fun rodeo is? So I started doing a lot of rodeo memes, and the idea was not to attract people within the rodeo community, which a lot of people liked it and started following me, but I wanted to reach people outside the rodeo community, because is if you want to be an advocate for rodeo, guys, stop fighting with people that are already advocating for rodeo. It's like y'all are trying to recruit people that are already on your team. So I wanted to reach people outside of it. So I really wanted to show how funny and silly stuff was, and we got people who would see this stuff and be like, what's a buckle bunny? What's a timey? What's a roughie? And it just really exploded and took off from there. But it also was more of a niche that I felt more comfortable in, not necessarily being the Western fashion girl. I mean, I love doing the modeling and that's fun, but I will wear the same outfit over and over again. I don't care what the latest trends are. I care what I'm comfortable in. So that's kind of how my account took off, is it's something that resonated with me and helped me reach my goal of advocating for this lifestyle.
See, that's what I love about it, because people often don't see the fun side of everything, and especially like as far as Coliseum socials, they like the behind the scenes, seeing the cowboys act goofy, because when they see them warming up behind the chutes, it's all seriousness.
Yeah.
And like buckle bunnies, people love to throw that term around when they really don't even know what it means. Same way with like, oh, did you win or buy your buckle? Well, why do you care? You're not the one wearing it. Like mine, I mean, I've never gotten asked, but mine that I have on was given to me when my parents used to put on rodeos, and it was memorial rodeos. So no, I didn't win it per chance, but I earned it in another way. So that's what I love about that. And from that, you had formed Talk Rodeo to me.
Well, I had been with my other company, and right the week before I was supposed to move to Texas, my business partner and I just kind of reached a separation, and I realized it was time for me to form my own company. And we just had very different visions. And again, mine has always been to advocate for rodeo. I had survived a very traumatic car crash in 2020, which I was very lucky to survive. I fractured my spine in the middle of the Nevada desert, and I was about 60 miles away from any hospital, literally within like the last 100 yards of reception, between I think it was Tonopah and I forget what, I think it's Beatty, those two, there's a whole stretch. And coming back from that and realizing like God, I have a meme about it basically, where if God gives you a rewrite, if he gives you a second chance, you make it count. And so for me, it was starting my rodeo outlet. I really wanted to do it to keep rodeo alive. And so when I sat down and I had a chance to create my own outlet, that was our goal. Is I didn't want to just be another news outlet and just go and do like cool videos, which we, you know, I do think we have some really awesome videos. I wanted it to have a commitment to keeping this alive for the next generation, not just covering PRCA rodeos, covering junior rodeos, covering jackpots, covering amateur. I wanted it to cover the stuff that you don't already see, the 5% that's out there, because that's how we keep this alive for the next generation. And my name, Meg West, is a spin-off of Mae West, which is my love of the Old West. I love everything vintage. So Talk Rodeo to me kind of came about with that mission statement of keeping rodeo alive for the next generation, but I wanted to integrate some of the vintage elements. So that's why we have the pinup girl. And I love the idea of the housewives on the phone, but instead of gossiping about, you know, who Betty Sue is with when Billy's out of town, gossiping about rodeo. So that's how we really came about it.
Yeah, I love that. And it's just, I mean, you're a total boss, babe. I mean, you do it all.
I have my days.
I mean, you do it all. I mean, like I said, it's inspirational for people who don't come from a rodeo background, that they can learn and they can get into it and make a name for themselves. But I mean, you also are a personal trainer on
Yes.
top of content creation, and then owning your own rodeo news outlet.
Yes.
And so what has been the most rewarding factor of all of that?
I think the most rewarding factor is being able to pay it forward. I don't want to sit here and be like, I'm self-made, because I had a lot of people that believed in me. Even when I first got started in rodeo, I never realized how lucky I was at how many rodeo athletes and people in rodeo were willing to reach out and educate me and help me and explain stuff to me, until I met people that never had that. And that's part of the reason why I wanted to make my reels initially, is if you make someone laugh, they're going to be more open to ask you questions. And for me, the most rewarding thing has really been seeing other people that have seen my content and been like, oh, I can go and do this. Like today I just had a photographer reach out to me and she's like, wow, you're a girl in the industry. I want to do this. Like I can do this. So I don't want to sit here and say I'm a pioneer, because I think there's a lot more badass women than me in this industry, but it is pretty cool when I'll see someone that's a photographer, especially a female that wants to get into it, and I'll be like, and they're like, well, I can't shoot PBR. I'm like, girl, show me your portfolio. Okay, let's get you media credentials. I'll have you cover something. And also, I don't know everything, but anytime I can pass my information forward, I think that's really important. I think that's something that all of us need to remember, is no one is ever self-made. I don't care what you guys say out there, but there was always someone that believed in you, someone that took a chance on you, someone that educated you, someone that mentored you. And when you start moving up the ladder and you get that in that position, it is your obligation to return the favor and pay that back to other people.
Yeah. And that's a really good thing to note, because there was a time where I felt like I didn't have anybody to lean on, because I had somebody tell me I had to know someone to be somebody. And although I come from a family who rodeoed and a dad who was a stock contractor, I mean, it was like, to be a businesswoman, you had to know somebody. And it's like, no, like, I want to, make it happen. And, I don't want you to disregard my dreams or what I want to do. And so, yeah, it's really important to know that there are people who will help you and that you can lean on, and they're just not going to shut it down because they don't believe in you.
Exactly. And it's really important to realize two things. People always give you feedback, and some of it's constructive. So not all negative feedback is constructive feedback, and not all constructive feedback is constructive. So I think it's also important when you're going out there, don't do what someone else is doing. And some people are going to have some negative opinions about you going out and doing something, especially if it's different, if it's something that's never been seen before, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's wrong. So just make sure you're being aware of whose feedback you're taking and what their heart is in which they're giving the feedback. Because jealousy is very loud. Jealousy and insecurity are very, very loud. And you're going to have a lot of people that are going to doubt you, because your success is always going to be perceived by them as a reflection of their failure, which it's not. So I would say you don't necessarily need to have connections, but be yourself and keep networking, and the right people are going to find you.
That's really good advice. But as a woman, it's a male-dominated industry. So what is it like from your perspective and what you do? What's it like being a woman?
Honestly, I started off as a trainer thinking I was going to train a bunch of girls in like college and stuff like that. And I guess I know I am rough around the edges. I am definitely not a White Claw. I am probably a shot of Jameson with a backer of Fireball. So I think I've always just attracted male-dominated fields. When I was in Colorado, I worked in a football specific training gym. So it was me and about 200 teenage boys every day. We had NFL athletes, we had NFL combine athletes. So being a girl holding her own with that many men, I think in a way prepared me for rodeo. So for me, I don't really notice it. I know that sounds strange, but having that 10 plus years as a trainer, and a lot of my clients have been men. I have a lot of military, I have a lot of cops, I have a lot of first responders. So for me, it was kind of an even playing field, so to speak, or evolution for me to be around guys. So I'm used to it, I can hold my own, but I know that that's not necessarily going to be the same for everyone. So I do think having that background as a personal trainer was being in a high school locker room for a year and a half of my life did kind of prepare me for being around guys, because behind the chutes is basically the cowboy locker room.
Yeah.
But I've only had a very small amount people that I can count on two hands of men that have been rude and not respectful to me. And again, I think that's kind of an outlier, and I don't want to sit here and say that's everyone's experience, because I know for a lot of people that hasn't been their experience. So again, I have been very lucky, I think, in that. But yeah, it is a very male-dominated field, and that's something you do need to be aware of, and you do need to know that going into it, and you do need to know how to hold your own, and you do need to have your boundaries.
Yeah, that's something I wish I would have learned a lot quicker. I knew I needed to have thick skin working in this industry, but it did take me a minute to get it. I've never really dealt with any guys who have been extremely rude to me. I mean, of course, you're going to get your, high and mighty guys every once in a while, but no one that's really stuck out to me that was memorable, at least. But the good thing about this industry is that you can meet people who become your family, so they would look out for you, and then they respect your craft too, not just because you're a woman, but because they may seem like they have the hard job, but when it comes to us, our jobs are similar. We have to be careful of what we produce. How are we reflecting us along with who we're shooting or what event we're shooting, So I do appreciate the ones that respect what we do, because there's a mutual respect.
And it is kind of funny though, because I even though it does say on my bio that I own Talk Rodeo, to me, I shoot majority of our video content. I do have several photographers that we work with. I still have people that will write the outlet and be like, "Dear sir," and I almost get to the point that I don't even want to correct them. So I guess it's flattering that it's they don't think it's female driven, and so I don't get that sexist, but it's also kind of strange, because it's yeah, women can be in rodeo too, but for the most part, I have not had a lot of negativity when it comes to it, but I also realize that my outlet's not going to be for everyone, and that's okay. I'm trying to reach the people that the other outlets aren't getting, and there's other outlets starting out there that might not be my cup of tea, but I know they're going to reach people. At the end of the day, we are all on the same freeway, but we're all in different lanes, and we all have a point to keep this way of life alive, and we need to have all of these different lanes to reach all these different people in life.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think has been the biggest misconception about rodeo in general?
I think there's so many myths that there are as far as like the treatment of animals and these stereotypes that you see out there. I think a lot of people tend to think of rodeo and Western people as being ignorant and uneducated. There's a lot of people that think they do not care about their animals. I don't think people see the positives of this lifestyle, the work ethic. We've gotten to this generation where everyone gets a participation trophy, and I'm sorry, but at the end of the day, sometimes you can go out there and your best is not enough. And you need to learn how to deal with that. You need to be able to handle the fact that you're going to go out there, you're going to perform at your best, you're going to do something, you're going to be proud of yourself, and it's not going to get you shit in life. It's not going to get you anything in life. Cut that out. I don't know if I can cuss on this podcast.
Oh, it's fine. Say whatever you want.
And learning how to deal with that and learning how to deal with setbacks. The world is not a soft space. Mm-hmm. It is not a safe place. And I know we want to come and make these soft spaces for our children and make everything protected, but that is not the reality. You need to learn to deal with disappointments. You need to learn to deal with hardships. You need to learn how to overcome obstacles. And you need to learn that sometimes your best isn't good enough, and how are you going to move forward with that? Are you going to lay down and cry because something didn't work out for you? Or are you going to dust yourself off, stand up, and figure it out and go make it happen?
And there's so many women who have paved the way for women like us in rodeo that I admire so much. I mean, Pam Minnick, one of the most decorated cowgirls ever. JJ Hampton. I admire her grit and just her hard work ethic. I mean, Jackie Crawford, Haley Kinsel, you name it. There are a lot of women who are continuing to make a name for themselves. And one of the most inspirational ones for me is like Fallon Taylor. Just the way she dresses. Like we were talking about, we're going to wear what we like. And if you don't like it, who cares? You know, where it makes us comfortable. I own quite a few ranch dressing pieces for that matter. But, you know, and so it especially for me, that's what inspires me to keep going and having conversations like this that, you know, inspires us. You know, I think especially as women, because it's male dominated, not to make it about, you know, a whole women podcast, but that's why we're here. You know, we need to lean on each other, because there will be those hard days where we feel like giving up, or like we run into someone that makes us feel like we're not good enough to be here. And it builds family, it builds community. And there are days where I'm like, okay, what if I didn't have a job in rodeo? But then there are other days where I love being here. Like, I can't imagine myself working anywhere else.
And anytime, I think something that really gave me a lot of perspective is you need to learn how to be okay with people not liking you. And that's something with this whole like soft, gentle parenting, soft spaces. We're not teaching people how to be okay with conflict and how to be okay with people not liking them. And at the end of the day, if you look at anyone that's successful in life, they're not going to sit there and read through all their hate comments. They're not going to sit there like, I guarantee you, Paris Hilton, Kim Kardashian, Trump, like anyone that's been successful at life, any of these people that have millions of followers, they're not sitting here sweating and stressing about the negative people. So if you're sitting here and you're scared to do something because of 2 or 3 negative people in your comment section, you're holding yourself back so much. And a lot of times those people are negative. Happy people are not in the comment section tearing people down. They are not. They are living their best life. Troll Karen, who is in the comment section 24/7, she is not living her best life. And neither is her husband, probably.
Yeah, clock it. So, I mean, but do you think viral moments, you know, like some things that we have touched on, like, do you think viral moments help or hurt our sport?
It depends. Are they going viral for the right reasons, and are they going viral and getting the target audience? You can have a viral, for example, Rocker Steiner. He is going to reach a whole new audience of rodeo because he is flashy. Mm-hmm. He is secure in himself. He is not afraid to be a rebel. He's not afraid to be different. Same thing with Jaco Roper. They are reaching completely new audiences that more traditional rodeo athletes aren't going to meet. But we also still need more of those traditional rodeo athletes, because they are also going to represent a certain amount of people. So viral moments can be good. Where a viral moment can be bad, and this is something that every rodeo usually has in its media credentials, that we have to watch what we are showing and filming. If something goes viral, for example, of a steer breaking its neck in the bulldogging or steer tripping, that is not something that's going to put positive light on our event, because people don't understand that, yes, unfortunately that is a reality and sometimes things go wrong, but that is not showcasing rodeo in a positive light. So you do need to have a bit of discernment if you want to be an advocate for rodeo, if you want to have a media outlet. Just because it's going to do well and get you a lot of views doesn't mean it's going to necessarily be good for our sport. So that is something, they will say that in most media outlets, but just kind of, there is some discernment you need to have. And anytime you get to that point where you want clicks more than you want to advocate for this lifestyle, it might be time to take a moment and talk to Jesus and sit it out for a little while.
Preach. I mean, there are things we send each other on TikTok all the time, and we're like, what's going on here?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some questionable stuff. You know, the Western lifestyle, it has become very trendy, and unfortunately there are a lot of people that are monetizing off of it without giving back to it. But I do know, and I've even had some athletes on my podcast that would argue otherwise, that anyone who's supporting this lifestyle is a good thing. So even though we do have the cosplay cowboys that aren't necessarily representing us the best, putting on their straps and doing their straps and then, you know, going back to whatever it is they do and have never seen the inside of a chute, they're still in their own way supporting this lifestyle and promoting it. So I do understand that there's a point there, but yeah, there is definitely some questionable stuff that you'll see. And again, it all goes back to the discernment. Is this something that you're putting because you know it's going to go viral and it's going to make you money and it's going to get you likes and you're going to get followers? Or is this something that you feel like is actually going to help the community and showcase rodeo good?
And that's what I love. So like Rodeo Houston, they're huge on ag education. Same way with like the stockyards, they're huge on spreading Western heritage. And I think that's so important because I'm sure everybody has seen the TikTok there was a guy who genuinely thought that strawberry milk came from like pink cows and brown cows have chocolate milk.
On one of my Meg West accounts, I had someone leave a comment saying they don't understand why we have farmers and ranchers anymore because we got grocery stores. And I go, where do you think the grocery stores get the meat and the produce from? Like, it does get very interesting when you see the disconnect that we have between people and ag these days. And you can even see that disconnect spread into rodeo. Even events that we've had here, I've seen PBR events where people have tried to put their little 2-year-olds on the top of the arena fence, and you can't do that. They're a bull. This is not a petting zoo. A zoo is not a petting zoo, and you cannot take and put your child on the top of the arena fence, especially some of these bulls are very rank. Like, your little kid falls in there, I don't care how good our bullfighters are, that's not a place that you want to have your child be. So educating people on animals correctly and why we do the things we do. There's a reason why we still have to rope. There's a reason why we have to do steer tripping. There's a reason why we have to, tie down calves to doctor them and take care of them. A cow and a bull are not going to wake up one day and be like, I don't feel good. I think I'm going to walk down to Walgreens and get some antibiotics. Like, we're stewards of these animals in rodeo and ranching. And a lot of the events, aside from bull riding, came from having to take care of these animals.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I was actually just talking to some students today about like calf roping. A lot of people boo when they catch them, but then if they miss, they're cheering like, woo, the calf got loose, and it's like, no ma'am, that guy just lost out on however much money it cost him to enter and travel here, and so he's going home empty-handed and broke. Because a lot of them rely on this like as a full-time job. This is how they make their living. And that's just one thing I wish more people would understand. Like, during COVID, how many cowboys, cowgirls, contractors, you name it, were out because they didn't have a rodeo to work at. And if it wasn't for the contestants, the people who spark conversations, who buy a ticket to watch, we wouldn't have a job. So if the curiosity of rodeo ever dies, we're out of a job. Our lifestyle is gone.
Exactly, and that goes back to my point that not every rodeo outlet you see online, not every rodeo content creator, not every podcast, it's going to resonate with you, and that's fine. It doesn't have to resonate with you. That might not be your thing, but it's going to resonate with some people, and the mission statement is the same. We're all on the same freeway. We're all occupying different lanes, and all of those lanes need to be occupied for the greater goal of keeping this alive for the next generation.
So in other news, keep sparking up those conversations and stay curious, because I know that there are videos of there floating around of me with a mustache on, pretending to be Cowboy Cletus. And although it was making fun of roughies, I guarantee you somebody saw that and searched up what a roughie is and went down the rabbit hole.
We might want to be careful with that expression. Stay curious, because that could go down a whole different direction with that video.
Yeah, we've had just a backstory, our green room is also by the locker room. So we've had a couple roughies peek in here and stay curious.
Speaking of being back in a locker room for my day job.
Full circle moment.
Just full circle, just full circle. Just now it's a bunch of half-naked short kings instead of football players.
Oof. Can't live without them, can't live with them. Put that on a shirt.
What's our next question?
Yeah, no, there's a lot I could put on a shirt. My most controversial one is don't pay his entry fees, and if you didn't catch it on the front, it's also on the back in the shape of a back number. So, I also own one of yours, Some Cowboys Problem.
Yes. And ladies, does he really want to get back together, or is he just too broke to pay for a hotel? Ask yourself that next time he happens to be in town this rodeo season.
Clock it. Because pay you back when I win is the biggest lie you will ever hear.
Actually, make sure you check his TikTok to see if he's actually ever covered anything before he says he's going to pay you back. If all you see are thirst traps, and he's wearing the same back number in a bunch of different locations and cities, better stay. You should ask some questions.
No, that's good advice. Especially if you're just dipping your toe into the dating realm of rodeo men.
You can also look up their names on the PRCA website if they say they're PRCA.
You can always fact check it, or ask one of us. Chances are we know one of them. Oh God, not this turning into a matchmaking show.
I'm gonna get a bunch of "Hey girly" text messages. Thank God I'm single right now.
Anyways, so my last little segment I like to do is our rodeo recap. So I get to ask the fun questions. So
these were the fun questions.
Oh, that was just yap.
Oh Lord.
So you do spend a lot of time on the road. I mean, just as an athlete, media spends a lot of time on the road, personnel. So what has been your most like chaotic or wild road story? And I know you just had one.
Probably good old San Antonio. Glad I grew up in Salinas, because that was an interesting one. I got down to San Antonio. The road trip down there between Austin and San Antonio, I'm pretty sure, is a Dante circle of hell. It took me 6.5 hours to get down there. Got down there, stayed at a hotel that was downtown. It's a decent hotel. I'm going to say that. I'm not going to say a hotel chain because I don't want to get sued. And I'm also still talking to corporate over this whole situation. Got down there. The room had a funky smell, but your girl was tired. I was like, I'm just going to deal with it tomorrow. We tried perfume. Did not help. Pretty sure something's dead in the walls in there. But I went to go to the perf at 9 a.m. Went there. Unfortunately, sometimes media credentials can be a little bit chaotic, especially at a big rodeo. So it took about like 25 minutes to get everything sorted out. Finally got my media credentials sorted out. Got back at noon, because I covered the noon perf, so I got back around like 3-ish, and I was like, oh, I have time to go to the Alamo, sweet. Get to my hotel, go to switch rooms. So I'm on the process of switching rooms. My hotel keys go missing. And it becomes pretty obvious that someone has them, because they don't just go missing. Like, especially when you go from one room to another, you would find them. So my hotel room keys went missing in very suspicious circumstances, and the front desk was not at all concerned about it. They did not call security. There was no manager on duty the whole weekend, which is very strange, because, you know, one of the biggest rodeo weekends, you would think you'd have a manager on duty. Anyway, I ended up having to spend a lot of money to get an emergency set of key fob made. If you're ever in that bind, yes, you can get emergency car keys made. Very fun. It's a lot of money, so do not recommend it. Ended up switching hotels. That was a whole hot mess. They didn't help me switch hotels or anything. Needless to say, I didn't make it to the Alamo and didn't make it to my other hotel. This whole started at like 3:30. I did not get to the other hotel until about 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. So that was definitely very chaotic. One thing I will say, trust your gut. As a female traveling alone, trust your gut. Like, I just had a moment when we played devil's advocate. I called the locksmith as soon as we opened my car door, and I knew that I wasn't going to leave my keys in the car. It's downtown San Antonio. You know, I've lived in Las Vegas for 5 years. I grew up in Salinas. I've lived in the city. I'm not going to leave my keys in the car. But the moment we saw that they were in the car, I got a bad feeling. Me and the guy who was there helping the locksmith, we both kind of went silent at the same time, and I was like, someone there has my keys. And he just looked at me and goes, we need to get you out of here. He's like, we need to wipe your system, make sure that they can't use your key fobs. to get in the car. So when we make you new ones, we need to wipe the system. He's like, and we need to get you in a different hotel. Like both of us, and I just knew in my gut, I was like, something's wrong here. So that's probably one of the biggest things I tell ladies is it's better to go with your gut and be a little bit paranoid, especially if you are traveling alone and doing a lot of just on the road. Don't question it, because it's like, would you rather be slightly paranoid or end up on a Dateline episode?
Doesn't that just make you feel like, so that is good advice, but doesn't it make you feel like you're just like, now you're initiated into the lifestyle? Like if you haven't had like a near-death experience, or like, I feel like
my guardian angel already needs a beer. I've survived 3 car crashes. Okay, like I broke my back in the middle of the desert going. I literally went airborne, somehow landed exactly the right spot that my car did not flip or roll. If it had, I would not be here right now. It was 104 degrees. I somehow was in the last literally 100 yards in order to call for help. Like, my guardian angel is so sick of my shit. He's like, when is this bitch gonna figure it out? Like, good God, lady. But yeah, that's one of the biggest things that I'm gonna say for people, especially women, even ladies, if you guys are barrel racers that are traveling together, if you pull up and you're doing a campsite or something overnight, or if you're staying someplace, if you get bad vibes, just leave. Because I'm so glad I left, because as soon as I got back to Fort Worth the next day, I noticed that there is a cap that's supposed to be on the front of my car, and that's where the front tow hitch is. So that had been removed. I don't know what I avoided, but definitely glad that I got out of that situation, and I will never be staying at that hotel again.
That's good to know, because mine is gone.
It was not gone before I got to San Antonio.
It's been missing for a while, but I was one of those girls that was like, oh, my car's still running, it's fine.
Yeah, no,
that's good to know.
The front tow hitch, where they can like literally screw in the thing to attach and steal it, that disappeared sometime around the same time as my keys disappeared, which, by the way, my keys have never shown up, and the hotel never texted me saying that they reviewed any of the security footage. So there's it was also did not make me feel very confident. There was a lot of placards talking about human trafficking and what was consensual relationships and an emergency number to call. I was like, well, I don't know if my car's going to go missing or I'm going to go missing or what is going on, but I'm getting out of here.
Freaky deaky.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So I would say that was probably one of the most interesting travel experiences I've had. I mean, I've definitely been places before. I made the mistake of putting my phone on silent when I was staying in Ponca City, and Ponca City is right in between like Moore and Joplin, and it was in the middle of tornado season, and I was like, oh, there's a 0% chance of tornadoes. Woke up to hear thunder at 5 a.m., looked down, and I had 23 missed weather alerts. So the other thing I'll say is trust your instincts and keep your weather alerts on if you're traveling to an area known for really bad tornadoes.
Oh man, no, that's definitely a crazy rodeo story.
Yeah.
Well, Meg, I've enjoyed talking to you. We have a lot of these deep talks, a lot, and I'm very appreciative of those, because it's hard to find people who can have those genuine conversations and be real with you and not beat around the bush, but that genuinely care. It comes from a place of care.
Sometimes I should probably have more of a filter. But like I said, I know I'm not for everyone, and again, it's all about embracing that. So that would be my last piece of advice. No, you're not going to be for everyone. Get used to the fact that God will put the right people in your life, and stop chasing the people he's trying to remove, because God can hear your prayers and so can the devil, and sometimes you don't know which of the two put that person in your life, but you know who's trying to take them out. Yeah, absolutely. And that's a really good piece of advice, because I mean, if we're gonna talk about when it comes to like dating in this industry, it's not good. I mean, we've already touched on that. It's just not good. And so, yeah, no, it is important. Like she said, the devil hears your prayers also. So it's important to have a strong spirit of discernment in this industry, but in life in general, even if you don't work in the Western industry. But yeah, if your curiosity is turning, your wheels are turning, and you're curious about our industry, do your research. I mean, Meg is inspirational for, coming from a state that isn't that popular with Western people, and you can make yourself into someone that you really want to be in this industry, and you can learn. If you fall for a rodeo man, do your research. Do your research on that too. Ask one of us. If he only has you come to his practices to film his TikToks and you never actually get invited to a rodeo or see him covering a bull, stay suspicious, ladies.
So stay curious, stay suspicious, and look out for who also stands up to film his run. I'm not even going to say stay curious. I'm going to say stay suspicious. Yeah, there you go. Stay Keep your head on a swivel. All right, well, Meg, I know you've got some filming to do, so from the mic to the shoots, we're going to go rodeo.